Welcome to Buzz Around the Globe. Putin just added another 6 years to his presidential rule and also unprecedented control of Russia. Vladimir Putin began his fifth term as Russian leader at a glittering Kremlin inauguration after destroying his political opponents, launching a devastating war in Ukraine, and concentrating all power in his hands. The ceremony saw a confident Putin walk past gilded doors onto a red carpet in a royal-looking hall in Kremlin. In front of him were honor guards, one of whom carried the Constitution. His strut gave a clear message. Already in office for nearly a quarter of a century and the longest-serving Kremlin leader since Josef Stalin, Putin's new term will not expire until 2030, when he will be constitutionally eligible to run again, making one wonder if Putin is there on that post for his lifetime. At the ceremony inside the gilded Grand Kremlin Palace, Putin placed his hand on the Russian constitution and vowed to defend it as a crowd of hand-picked dignitaries looked on. The crowd even included Hollywood action star of 90s, Steven Segal. Putin's tightening stronghold on Russia is no surprise to anyone, but critics like Alexei Navalny's widow continue to speak against him. Yulia Navalnaya called Putin a liar, a thief, and a murderer. She painted a grim picture for Russia's future as she said, "With each of his terms, everything only gets worse, and it's frightening to imagine what else will happen when Putin remains in power." Since succeeding President Boris Yeltsin in the waning hours of 1999, Putin has transformed Russia from a country emerging from economic collapse to a pariah state that threatens global security. Following the 2022 invasion of Ukraine that has become Europe's biggest conflict since World War II, Russia has been heavily sanctioned by the West and is turning to other regimes like China, Iran, and North Korea for support. The question now is what the 71-year-old Putin will do over the course of another 6 years, both at home and abroad. Russian forces are gaining ground in Ukraine, deploying scorched earth tactics as Kiev grapples with shortages of men and ammunition. Both sides are taking heavy casualties. Ukraine has brought the battle to Russian soil through drone and missile attacks, especially in border regions. Shortly after his orchestrated re-election in March, Putin suggested that a confrontation between NATO and Russia is possible. And just a day before his inauguration, he warned the West that nuclear risk is real, while ordering tactical nuclear drills on Ukrainian borders. At home, Putin's popularity is closely tied to improving living standards for ordinary Russians. He began his term in 2018 by promising to get Russia into the top 5 global economies, vowing it should be modern and dynamic. Instead, Russia's economy has pivoted to a war footing, and authorities are spending record amounts on defense. Analysts say now that Putin has secured another 6 years in power, the government could take the unpopular steps of raising taxes to fund the war and pressure more men to join the military. At the start of a new term, the Russian government is routinely dissolved so that Putin can name a new prime minister and cabinet. So who will take Putin's war forward? One key area to watch is the defense ministry. Last year, Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, he came under pressure over his conduct in the war, with mercenary leader Yevgeny Prigozhin launching withering criticism against him for shortages of ammunition for his private contractors fighting in Ukraine. Prigozhin's brief uprising in June against the defense ministry represented the biggest threat to Putin's rule. After Prigozhin was killed 2 months later in a mysterious plane crash, Shoigu appeared to have survived the infighting. But last month, his protege, Deputy Defense Minister Timur Ivanov, was detained on charges of bribery amid reports of rampant corruption. Some analysts have suggested Shoigu could become a victim of the government reshuffle, but that could be a bold move as the war is still raging in Ukraine. In the years following the invasion, authorities have cracked down on any form of dissent with a ferocity not seen since Soviet times. There is no sign that this repression will ease in Putin's new term. Laws have been enacted that threaten long prison terms to anyone who discredits the military. The Kremlin also targets independent media, rights groups, LGBTQ+ activists and others who don't hew to what Putin has emphasized as Russia's traditional family values. One thing is for certain in Putin's Russia: things don't change unless Putin wants it to, at least till 2030. Do tell us what you think about this video in the comment section, and for more news updates, subscribe to India Today.